It's white to play and win, despite the fact that black has a queen, as well as these two connected pass pawns, which are looking very scary. How does white win this position with only the two rooks? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, this is a very interesting position because normally if you have a queen and two pawns against two rooks, it's probably going to be maybe some kind of a draw if the rooks can do some sort of perpetual check, or maybe even black can win if the king can find some shelter. But in this position, if you look at the king and the queen, what do you notice? Well, they're on the same rank. So if you imagine if we had two free moves with white, we could go here and we could go here, and we would simply win black's queen. The king would have to move out of the way, and then we would take the queen. We say, Nelson, we don't have two moves, we only have one, so what do we do? Well, the idea here is that we have to keep the king in check, but at the same time threaten a skewer. And there's a very simple way to do it, actually. It's the move king to d5 check. This is the only winning move. Now, just real quick, if you said any other moves, like let's just say rook a3 trying to come down here, it's not fast enough because now you give black time to do something with the queen. Let's just say queen e5 check, and you have to move. And once the queen gets centralized like this and starts controlling a lot of squares, you're really out of tricks. There's nothing that you can do. So you had to keep black in check for the duration of this position. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's why all rook moves that aren't check don't really work. And really, the only check rook move is here, or a king move, which unleashes this rook. Okay, so king d5, only winning move. King to b4 really makes no sense. You don't want to run away from the king because you need to actually prevent the king from having options. And so king to b5 is the only other move that maybe made sense, but black would simply play king to b7. And what you notice now is we have no good checks, right? We can't go here, it just gets captured. We can't go here, it just gets captured, and we have no other checks with our rook. And there's really nothing left for us to do, okay? So king to d5, only winning move. Now, black has two options. They can try to either run this way and keep mirroring our king so that they get away from the rooks that way, or they can go over to the B file and see what happens over there. So we're going to come back to that. Let's actually start with this one. And what do we do now? If you would like to pause, what's the follow-up move here? Well, if you had a chance to look at that, this one's not too difficult because, again, we don't really have many options with our rooks. We can't go there. We just give up a rook for free. We have to make a king move. If we go back this way, we're going to kind of just repeat the position, most likely. So the only move here, because of the queen, is king to e4. And again, it's a check with the rook. And what do you notice? The rooks are taking away black's options this way. The king has to go over here. Now, this one looks pretty bad for obvious reasons. We simply come down and we win the queen. Okay, so the king has to move. We take the queen. Or even better, in this case, that's just checkmate. But let's just say the king, maybe went here. Then we would take the queen. All right, pretty straightforward. You say, but what if the king moves to a better square like e8 or e6? Well, the interesting thing about this position is that wherever the king moves, we can still force that same skewer. So for example, if the king moves here, you would like to pause. What's the move? You had a chance to look at that. It's rook to e6 check, or c6 check, excuse me. c6 check, and because of the position of our king, it forces black to go backwards to one of these two squares because our rook is here. It doesn't really matter. We follow up with this, and we can win the queen. Also, if the king goes to e8, exact same thing is going to happen. We come down here with check. King has to move to here or to here. And again, we have a skewer. Okay. So because of that, going back to the original position, when we play king to d5 check, black doesn't want to go this way, right? Because we simply slide our king out of the way, and then we have that option to force a skewer. The interesting thing about this position is that even if the king moves this way, let's just take king to b6 for an example, we can force the same skewer. You would like to pause. How do we do that? You had a chance to look at that. It's really very simple. Rook to b3 check. And black has the option of either going to the A file or going to the C file. If they go to the C file, we simply bring this rook over. And what you'll notice is that it forces the king to go to one of these two squares. And again, we have the same idea. We come down with check and we get the skewer. Pretty straightforward, right? The other option here that black had, instead of going to the C file, is they can go to the A file. It doesn't really matter where they go. Same kind of thing for us. We're going to throw in a check. We're going to move somewhere. They don't want to come here. They just get checkmated. So that's 1 point, right? Again, on b5, same thing. This is checkmate. So that's pretty cool. So because of that, they have to go back this way. But again, same problem. Here we go. There's the skewer. We win the queen and the game. Okay. And it doesn't matter where they go back here. B6 is what we looked at. B8 is going to be the exact same thing, right? We throw in a check. If they come here, it's the same deal. We go like this. We've seen this before, right? We get the queen that way. And if they go into the corner or to A7, same thing. We go check, check, and here we go. We get the skewer. So basically, there was no way for black to avoid this idea, regardless of where their king went. And the pawns never even had a chance to do anything, or the queen for that matter. And it was all because of these checks with the king, which ultimately forced this. So nice little position. Congratulations if you found that not super difficult, but it was an interesting idea that you kind of had to think about. If you started to think about like trying to stop the pawns or doing something else, you wouldn't have found it. So I'll see you guys next time. As always, thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.